topic today is calendaring solutions, and we do have a blog post out, which is, I think, a complete novelty. That we had a blog post covering the content of a session before we even had the session. So I big applause to Astha and Meet, who made this blog post happen, and because of that, I would like to because Astha's implementation is first one in the blog post. I would like to start with Meet, and we haven't been chatting so much, so Meet, please tell me who you are and what you do at Adobe.
Sure. Thanks so much, Lars. First of all, this is a great opportunity, and thank you so much for that. So, my name is Meet. I am the North America team lead for Adobe Managed Services. But yes, for the past 2 years, been developing projects on edge delivery services. And yes, something which has come up in our project, which is called the calendar implementation. Where we found that yes, and in fact, I have prepared something for you guys. Let me share my screen. If I think, let me
Yeah,
entire screen and let me go with the resolution which I'm allowed, and let me know if you can see my screen, guys.
yeah, we can see it.
Perfect.
Awesome. Yep. So of course, I prepared a quick EDS site just to show instead of a PPT for this. So let me go ahead to the
Edge
use
delivery
cases.
services.
So
Okay.
that happens anytime somebody says the forbidden acronym E, D, and
Awesome.
S.
Thank
So
you. Thank you. Thank you. Yes. So we got a customer, Clark's County, and let me first of all show you what the calendar looks like. So this is a master calendar where they have got around 40 plus departments. Every
yeah,
department has get their own customizations, their own coloring system, their own use cases, as you can see. And
yep,
all these events are in a different, you can say a block structure kind of a thing. They don't want any kind of similarity between the events. It can be n number of things that they can play with, right?
right.
So so coming back to the stuff that yes, they would like to have this 40 departments. Each department, the department should not be able to edit the calendar items of the other department. So that kind of things needs to be there. So this was one of the use cases. There should be around 10 different event formats that I just showcased to you. So they have to play with those events so that they can have a number of things that can be showcased on the events. Now, the issue is that they would, why calendar is so important for a government website, because with the help of these events, they showcase it to to the public. And of course, with the help of that, they raise money onto that. And hence,
Yep.
calendar is most important for them to showcase those features on that. Plus, they would like to have the feature of recurring meetings as well, very much days of week, read more, a lot of options out there. They would like to make sure that it is consistent across mobile and the desktop view. They don't want to, limit anything in terms of view, what they are having today at the moment. Plus, the admins of the site should have the ability to select any event, let's say yes or true. The moment they select yes or true to any event, automatically those events will come on the home page, because they don't want to go with the latest events, because any latest event will be just like kind of an office meeting. No,
Right.
they would like to highlight only the correct one so that they can raise money out of those events. So these were the initial ask that has come onto our mind.
Okay.
Okay. So when we got this, of course, it was a huge discussion coming across the whole team, and we see the thought process now. Now let's see, it is all about document-based authoring. How can we have, n number of variants of the events? So what we did, we create a template, an event template, and have number of blocks within it. And so that the customer can play with those blocks, whatever they want, they can put the image, whatever it is. So they have got n number of blocks in those events, and the metadata will matter a lot, because in the metadata itself, they will be putting the date like the start date or
Hmm.
stop date, recurring meeting, yes or no, excluding
Yes.
dates, feature titles, stuff like that. So what's gonna happen? So this is what the events will look like. Fine. We thought okay, let's do one thing. Let's have all the events. It will go as a home. It will go Of course, when we preview publish, it will be as kind of a URL kind of a thing. And of course, we will index all those events in the events.xls file. So I will come to that right away.
Yeah.
41 departments, so means we should have
Let me
41
let me
folders.
let me meet.
Sure,
Thanks for this. You're going a bit too fast for me, to be honest.
sure, sure.
And I actually edited your blog post, so let's scroll back to your to right to the templating, and this I think is one of the things that I found most surprising with your solution, right? That you said, well, we are managing a calendar, but instead of managing it originally as a calendar, we are essentially managing documents within a SharePoint folder where every single calendar event is a document, and and then only through a process it turns into something more structured and then back into a calendar. And at first I didn't really understand why that was needed, but right, but when you want the flexibility of saying, well, you can have any kind of content, you can have the richness of blocks in a calendar event, then it suddenly makes a lot of sense, right? That you have this great customizability, which is really, really, really hard to squeeze into the small notes text field that you have on a regular calendar, whether it's Google Calendar or Outlook.
Exactly. So in last, we know we initially tried with Google Calendar, but that kind of customization, we were not having that. So we went through all that process, and then we finally would go with this process. Okay, fine. Let's have an event with a document based where we can have n number of blocks within a template, and
Right.
customer can play with them to have
Yeah.
whatever view they want to have.
Yeah.
Sure.
So, how did your authors, the people who are managing these events, how did they deal with this new way of creating events?
Yeah, so they're still learning, Lars. So basically, the project is not still yet live, but they have approved that yes, they will go with this strategy. It's very easy for them to just mark the start and the stop date out here and recurring meetings, preview, publish, and
Right.
that event will be up and there in the calendar. So they are
Okay.
still, it's a new thing for them because
Yeah.
right now what they are having, they have to log in into a PHP application, go into those stuff, and with the help of the UI, trigger a calendar event. But now
Yeah.
since it is document based, so of course it's a change. We cannot replicate that stuff, but this is how it will be. So they are okay with
Okay.
this process.
Okay. Cool. Well, then let's
Yeah.
go on.
All right. So second thing that department says that okay, people in one department should not be able to edit stuff on the other department's folder, right? So of course those SharePoint permissions are managed accordingly. So
Hmm.
they do have the AD groups assigned to these all folders, so that they do not have the right permissions on the other folder as such. So
Right.
they can still view it, but they can edit. They cannot edit any or create any event on any other's folder, basically. So
Yeah.
this is how this is also managed in that case.
So how many people are in that whole organization that permission management is so important?
Yeah, so like you can say Clarks County, the whole website, they have got 41 departments, and each department they do have around 7 to 8 authors who
Okay.
literally trigger events for the public. So you can say around 14 to 5, mostly 45 to 50 people are there in each department, and every department has got some or the other responsibility for that state. Some has
Right.
got some wedding event, some has got some children event kind of a thing, and as these are different departments, they would like to manage their own stuff as such.
Right. Okay.
Yeah. Okay. So of course, so once we preview and publish, so with the help of that, by the default nature of the indexing thing,
Hmm.
of course that will go into a raw. So I will show you the index sheet right away. It will go into the index sheet, events index sheet, where all the start date, end date, days of week will be will be taken care.
Hmm.
And regarding, so of course what we have done, if tomorrow more department will be added, right? So what we have done, there is no need of customer to go into the code. All departments names and their color coding and their IDs are mentioned in the third tab called shared divisions with the same
Hmm.
Excel sheet. They, if tomorrow some department needs to be added, they have to just add the name, the color, and the folder structure there, and that's it. And that department will be up and ready, to do the authoring or
Yeah.
trigger the events. So we make sure that this is done. There is no need of go into the code and do some changes as such. So to make authoring as
Nice.
easy as possible.
Yeah.
Second thing, of course, for the featured events. So we what we have done, we have enabled a column called featured, right? So
Hmm.
basically, things will be copied from raw index to a shared default, where we enable called featured. The admins of the department will see the description, what it is look like. If it is good, they will put a yes on it, and then they have to preview and publish this Excel. The moment they do a preview and publish, those events will be highlighted on the main featured plate. So
Yeah.
let me show it to you right away. So this is the customer's current, right? And this is on edge delivery services.
Hmm.
And if I go at the in the features tab, so for this is in the development at the moment, you will see those featured those things getting enabled out here. So if you see this, so let me give you where we got stuck basically. That's a good example. So let me go back to the calendar and let me take any recurring meeting. I think this should be a recurring. So this is basically an iframe, right? So of course there's a URL. This is an iframe which is there listed at the at the bottom.
Yeah.
Now Now, if you see this date, 28th Jan, for example, this recurring meeting has started from 28th Jan. So iframe, so basically it's a URL, right? The date will be stagnant, that will be constant. If that recurring meeting is around, let's say 31st as well, the date will still remain the same. That was the problem at that point of time. How can we change the date for any recurring meeting, once we proceed further? That's because the event has started from 28th of Jan. But if it is 31st of Jan, then the date should have changed. In this case, what we have done, so we divided this whole iframe into three sections. Do you see this date which is getting disappeared now? You see
Hmm.
this?
Yeah.
So what I'm trying to do, so basically what I'm trying to do, the moment I scroll a bit down, the calendar at the back end will push the exact date to to this iframe with the help of post message. So customer is all okay with that. That's fine. If it's disappearing, that's fine. It does not, all like. So that's how we face that issue, so that with the help of post messages, we can have the correct date no matter wherever we click on that.
Wait.
Because
Where are you posting what exactly?
sure. So basically, this is an iframe, right? So basically, this is a
Yeah.
URL at which you are seeing. So previously, what we did, whatever event we triggered, let's say 13th of Feb, this 13th of Feb will stay constant on that particular page. Previously, we started with that, but now if it is a recurring meeting, let's say if I go there in 21st, on 21st also it will show the same date, 13th of Feb at that point of time, because it's a URL. We are not changing that. Are you getting my point, Lars? So it's a web page which is already there where we have done all kind of formatting. It will take the initial date of the calendar
Yes.
event, which is 13th of Feb. Now, since it's a recurring meeting, it will not it will the URL will not change the date by itself. It's a URL. It's already there. The data is already there. Now, the calendar functionality, what it is doing, it is on whatever date this event is there, it will pass on that date to this iframe with the help of post message, so that date gets changed. So
Okay.
it is so basically this portion is not a part of this URL at the back end. It is
Okay.
just on top of it, which is getting
Got it.
21st of
Okay.
Feb.
So, why exactly are you using iframes for this kind of embedding instead of embedding it basically like a fragment in injecting it into the DOM?
Yeah, so that came later on my mind, but initially I started with iframes.
Okay.
But I'm not sure whether if let's say if I use fragments, Lars, this date portion would have been taken care by itself. I think that's
Yeah,
also.
you would have to add this part to the fragment loading, right?
Hmm.
You would have to change that part and say, you know what, in case we are looking at a recurring event, it's this particular iteration or it's this particular exact date. The the advantages that I would see for fragment loading instead of an iframe is that it can be a bit faster, right? You do have to do a bit more work, but It's a bit faster
Okay.
because it doesn't need to render the full site, and the other one is right when your screen is big enough, then you have enough room to display what's on the event, right? But when it's getting smaller and you just have you have a small screen already, and then you have an even smaller iframe on that, that can make it very
Mhm.
very hard to display the information. So this is why it could be an option to explore.
Right. Sure. Sure. Sure.
Yeah.
Definitely. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So based on the use cases, as we have got customer, we make sure that yes, we meet everything what they have got
Yeah.
today. No matter the monthly view, no matter we could see. Let me just refresh this. It's got
Yeah.
stuck at the moment. Uh, so this is the event sheet.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, the raw index where the events are getting loaded. And in the shared default, the admins of the department will say yes or whatever thing. And
Mm-hmm.
these are the list of divisions that they can add out here. So if I go back to the workflow, the final workflow, which is this, the flow chart. Let
Yeah.
me just minimize this. So every department will have their own event template. The
Mm-hmm.
moment they publish their events, it will go into the raw index. And in the raw
Right.
index, of course, we have got shared default. You hit yes, it will go to the featured events. This thing will go to the, so of course, we have leveraged full calendar.io. On top of it, we are playing with the rule.js and moment.js to take care of the recurring events and the time zone stuff like that. And hence, we are getting this model thing with an iframe within at the same time.
Yeah.
Yep. And let me see if I got something handy to show, because the mobile view also look very great, very much similar to what customer has today. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
if I go to the mobile view here, I think some issue with midnight, but I'm apologies for there. But yeah, but we make sure that we do have the monthly view, weekly view. We do have the individual calendars as well.
Right.
For every department, they can view that. We do have the search functionality as well, which they do have today at the moment, so they can
Yeah.
search for those events out here. So every functionality is met with the help of this. So
Okay. Very cool. So,
so
um,
let me just
you
stop
you
sharing.
mentioned, yeah, you mentioned recurring events as a challenge. What else did you find particularly challenging in building this?
First of all, it's a so what to select initially. Whether full calendar.io, we do not have any example on HTTP service today at that point of time when we triggered it. I was not aware that Astha has built something already, so there was nothing with me. So I was just exploring some options, because there are a lot of use cases, as I mentioned, that customer asked for. And hence, once I got to with the full calendar, then I was able to customize that, a lot more.
Mm-hmm.
But yes, uh, it took me time. It took me to around 2 weeks, Lars, including my
Yeah.
winter shutdown to get this happen.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. And what was the best part about building this?
The best part is the smile on the customer face, that yes, they were so happy. Okay, wow, this
Yeah.
they were not because initially when they thought about document, so of course customer is very much fascinated about document based authoring. They can play with the documents and preview and publish, awesome thing. But they were very worried how calendar implementation will be taken care by document based authoring, since calendar implementation is one of the major ask for their site,
Right.
because with the help of events they raise money. But once after winter shutdown, when I showed the whole thing, it was a clapping moment, at that point of
Okay.
time with the customer.
Excellent.
So
Great to hear
yeah.
that. Okay. Very cool. So, can you share how long you said you hunkered down for 2 weeks? Was that the entire time you took for the
Yes, totally
implementation?
deserved. Yes.
Okay.
There are few small potatoes that customers asked for to do some color changes, or for some of the departments they would like to have some color changes of the text for the calendar, so that white does not look good with a pink background. They would like to have some black kind of a thing. So I have to play with that kind of stuff. So coming
Right.
forward,
Yeah. So
yeah,
the usual fine tuning that you can
yes,
only
usually fine-tuning,
do once you've seen it. Yeah.
and it will continue. That fine-tuning will continue. That will
Right.
never stop. Something or the other will
Okay.
gonna happen. Yeah, but later on, what I would like to add really out here that currently they are all into Pacific time zone. They said that okay, we are on Pacific, but we do have the ability that I can add a ribbon at the top that they can select whatever time zone, and the calendars will be automatically tuned in that particular time zone itself. So
Yes.
they do not have the current site. That's kind of an enhancement that we could do once we go live later on.
Yeah. Yeah. So um, a very, very long time ago, I was the product manager in AEM and responsible for building, actually not AEM, CQ at the time. And we had a customer who wanted a calendar. So I said, hey, how hard could it be? Let's build a calendar. And then Alex, who's been developing this with me, and I started reading the ICS spec, the iCalendar spec, and
Oh,
thought,
mhm.
oh, this is fantastic. This handles everything. This handles recurring events, and this handles time zones. And then you find out about time zones, and time zones are extremely fascinating, right? Because you think of them as relatively unchanging, um, which might be true for the one time zone, right? I live in Central European time, which hasn't changed as long as I can think. But in reality, there are a lot of changes. Even in I would say a boring time zone like Central European time. So, for instance, and Dominic, maybe that's a fun fact for you. Um, at some point in the late 1970s, Germany introduced daylight savings time, and Switzerland
Oh,
did not, or Switzerland only introduced daylight savings time 1 year later. So for that particular year, Germany and Switzerland had two different time zones. Um, and
mm,
now there's something even more interesting, which is there's a small enclave, it's basically one village in one German village that is fully surrounded by Switzerland. And that German village follows for most of it's basically a mix. For some things they follow just out of convenience Swiss rules, including the time. So for basically half a year, Germany had two possible time zones. You could take a bus from one German village into another, and arrive before you entered the bus, right? Simply because there was a 1 hour shift, and if the trip didn't take longer than an hour, you could have made up time. Um, really fascinating topic, and something that is prone to drive you insane when you see what kind of changes there are. And there's a community which is managing the international time zone database, and they're my heroes. So th- this is a call out to everyone who is working on calendaring software, um, and and ever had the same thought that I had, which is 60 seconds in a minute, 60 minutes in an hour, 24 hours, um, 24 hours in a
converting.
day, 30 days in a month, 12 months. How hard could it be, right? And then you find out, and then you find out all the rest. Like, hey, it turns out there are months that have more or less than 30 days. Um, it happens all the time. So,
Yep.
okay,
Absolutely. And you are
yeah,
correct. Time zone was an important aspect for this. Previously, I used local, so it means any local machine will have its own time zone. So
exactly.
then I can leverage like America slash Vancouver. But I have got to know that browsers treat this differently as well. So if on some other browser, maybe it will not treat America slash Vancouver with that. So
Yes.
that was the confusion all about, and that's why this additional JS were also involved, moment.js and
Yes.
all, to
Yeah.
make it a
And
streamline.
right. And with the local government, it's relatively easy, right? Because
Yes,
you
yes,
most local governments are in exactly one time zone. They
correct.
are
Nevada,
they
Pacific.
are there are a couple there are a couple of there there are a couple of counties in the United States that have time zones that are different from the state that they're in, which is
Oh,
yes. No, and and Ina, you might say why? Why is that possible, right? And the reason for this is that these counties are very close to the border and that basically belong to the next to the metro area that is in a different state. So
okay,
when everyone is commuting to a different state that is one time zone away, it's just more convenient to say, you know what, we we follow the time zone that is convenient instead of administratively correct, and at that time you suddenly need two time zones to display. So
sure. Yeah,
okay, well,
you.
which brings us to something um, that is combining time zones because we're dealing with the global audience, and we and while it's Well, it's 5:30 for me. I don't know what time it is for you, and I don't know what time it is for Asta. But when it comes to scheduling this meeting, this would obviously be useful. And at the same time, it's continuing in the vein of how hard could this be, and trying the simplest solution that that we could come up with, and this is the calendar, essentially the mini calendar that we have on the aem-live website on the community side, which is one way to find out when our next Discord meeting is. So, Asta, we've been working together for a long time, but
Yeah.
um, and I have to say, so Asta has been instrumental in creating the aem-live blog, the aem-live community website, has been helping with the RAM Explorer, has been helping with this calendar, and Asta has never been here on Discord. So this is um, please introduce yourself and tell us what we should know about you in addition to
Sure,
what I
thank
just
you.
said.
Thank you, Lars, and hello, everyone. So basically, I actually have joined in the initial days, yeah, but during the winter time and stuff like this, it's quite tough because at the moment it is 10 p.m., right? So the late hours are sometimes tough to attend. But
Yes.
yeah, I definitely make sure that I go through the recordings to just be updated with what happened, right? So that is my way to just deal with this. But so just to give a brief about myself, so I'm Astha Bhargav, joining from Adobe India, basically. So I am actually working as cloud automation engineer in Adobe Managed Services team, and for the past I guess 2.5 years or more, I have been working in the area of edge delivery services. So it's like I started working on this when it was at that point called Helix, right? So I've
Yeah.
seen that journey, right? And till from, I mean, since then till now, it has been a long journey. And I have, I mean, not only contributed, but of course, led the migration of multiple customer websites on edge delivery services. And as Lars mentioned, I have been contributing back to the product as well in different areas or wherever we can do the automations to make the lives of teams easier. And one of these features is this calendar implementation, which I'm going to talk about today. And yeah, I would definitely love to give a walkthrough of what we have been doing and how we have made a life of Dominic here easier,
Yeah.
handling all those things. Yeah.
Okay. Well, let's dive in.
Yeah. Great. Let me share my screen. Okay. So basically, the main topic here is to talk about a lightweight calendar, which we built for AEM community events, right? So this particular site that, I mean,
Mhm.
this area of the site, which you must have seen. So let me start with the use case, like what we had, right? So Dominik is here. So if all the people who are attending our Discord calls, right, already know him. So the main point is that Dominik plays a major role in organizing or planning the events in Discord, and planning it much before, like as you see the upcoming community events. So here we have already our slot, and another slot is already there in planning. So main thing that that Dominik has to deal with, which we came to know, that okay, once the event takes place, the session details have to be really put on another section of this website, which is the recent recordings, right? So basically the main thing is that we wanted to you know make some process, and to make the life easy for an author, or say Dominik here, right? And try to streamline everything, the process as much as possible, in a way that once the recording is ready, once the details are ready, okay, this session happened or an event happened, then Dominic does not have to go into the Word document for this particular page and upload the details manually, right? So the main agenda was to reduce all the manual intervention and automate this as much as possible. So with the current automation that we have in place, the main thing, only there are 3 steps now, like left. So the main thing is the Discord event is set up. That is number one. Then, of course, the event is hosted and it is recorded, which is currently also happening. And then the recording has to be uploaded to this YouTube channel of aem-live, right? So once this is done, of course, the video is uploaded with the details, the recording details, like maybe some description and stuff, and that's all, right? Now the rest of the thing is automated by the automation which we have in place via Zapier automation. So I wanted to talk about that. This is the Zapier workflow that we have in place to actually automate this process, right? So it has 4 steps. The first one, like, let me go through these one by one. So first is that this Zapier workflow actually monitors the YouTube channel, like for any new video that comes up, right? The moment a new video comes up, the tagging is based on the channel ID, right? So what it does is it goes to it connects with the Google Sheets, which is actually present in the Google Drive. After this new video is uploaded, right? So we have the spreadsheet, which is community feeds. There, this worksheet YouTube exists, and where a new row is added with all these 4 fields. Okay, so the moment it is done, we actually preview and publish. This third step is the previewing it via this admin API. There are webhooks by Zapier which help to do that.
Yeah. And webhooks by Zapier is really just a way to make arbitrary HTTP requests, which, given that our admin API is very, very lightweight, and you don't need any SOAP or Corba or GraphQL.
So, Lars, maybe you are already aware. Just a question here. So, exposure of these APIs in terms of security is all okay then? Like, I don't think there should be a concern, right? Like, if they're exposed somehow.
Yeah. So you can, and so by default, these APIs are not authenticated, which means that you can preview and you can publish, or anyone who knows the site URL can preview and publish. But this is something that some customers are setting up authentication. Obviously, that's supported, and you could do the same here. For us, it was very easy, right? Because the potential for abuse is relatively small. So so we said let's do it the easy way, and that's why it's unauthenticated, and that's why if you would want to really know what you're doing, you could try to preview something. You just have to guess. You just have to guess the URLs that we of the documentation pages that we are planning to write.
And can we have multiple Zapier workflows? Let's say, for example, let me take my example, 40 departments. So 40 departments will have their own set of events and all. Will
Yes.
the same Zapier workflow will work for all of them, or they will have their own
Uh,
authentication mechanism kind of a thing, if I thought it that way?
Yes. Yeah. So you can definitely have many Zapier workflows.
Sure, sure.
You can also have if basically if splits in a Zapier workflow. I haven't myself been using loops yet, and there's a certain point when it's I like Zapier on the one hand because it handles a lot of the
Yeah,
authentication with services for me, right? And because it allows me to explore the API surface of something very easily, right?
sure,
But
sure.
whenever I come to the point where I would say, okay, I have 41 things, and I need to loop over all of them, then I will need to do something else. That's the point where I
Okay,
would say, you know what, I would rather like to read this in code than in a pretty flowchart. So
sure. Thank you.
yeah,
Looks like
Yeah,
she's.
Lars and
Oh, yeah.
Meet. I am I am back. Yeah, I was listening to the conversation. I was like, okay, I'll speak when it's over. But okay, so
yeah,
I hope I was audible when I said that once this details are added to the spreadsheet,
yeah,
we get preview and publish the sheet, and
yes,
with that we get the community feeds JSON file, right? Which has all the details of the events, right, added. Um, right. So this is actually all the past events, right, and with the latest event at the bottom, ideally.
yeah,
And if I show here, let me go through this. So actually, what is happening is this YouTube spreadsheet, right, which actually was getting the data ingested from the Zapier automation, right? We are actually just using Helix archive, right, to actually serve the data or render. And
hmm
the feed block that I have, right? So of course, all these details are added in here. But yes, this is just an edge delivery block with the JS and CSS, doing the DOM manipulation and adding, fetching all the details, maybe the image, the video, video URL, and all those things, and the CSS helps to render it the way you see it here. Of course, the latest
And
video
Asta,
or yeah,
can you quickly show the CSS, because otherwise people
yeah,
are going to see this that this is 60
of
lines of code.
course. Of course, I will. Yeah. So
Yeah,
this is the CSS. So we are actually handling the breakpoints, the media breakpoints as well. So it is very much, responsive as well. I mean,
yeah,
I can show switching to, sorry, let me go to the mobile view or something like maybe Pro Max and reloading. So, I mean, it actually looks fine if you see here, right?
yeah,
All those in place. But yeah, other than that, even if I, minimize, it will actually look like, yeah, we are handling all those things via CSS. So yeah, it's simple, I think, not much, 138 lines, but yeah, we are handling all the breakpoints pretty well. So that's all. I mean, if I talk about the benefit, right? So, I mean, I think this really helps overall, with minimal manual intervention. But I think Dominik, who has been the main focus for this automation, he's here. And I mean, we can hear directly from him what benefits he's seeing after using this. Dominik, would you like to share something on that?
Yes, of course. Yeah. I think the most important thing for me is, I mean, after the session is over, I try to do the recording as fast as, or the recording I have, but I take the file and I go to Adobe Express and I do the whole file with the pictures and whatever it needs. And the good thing is, I just have to go then into YouTube. There is a nice process. Click through it, like a few clicks, upload whatever is needed, and then it's done for me. I mean, then I don't have to care about going into on aem-live or updating the Word file behind or the Google Sheet behind, so I don't have to care about it, and it's suddenly there. So it's not about waiting. I think it's there within, I don't know, minutes. Last time I just uploaded the video and then I clicked on aem-live and it was there. So that's amazing. And I mean, you don't need it to do anything. 50% less work and perfectly on aem-live. So that's really a good thing, definitely.
Great. Thank you, Dominic. And I guess just one more point. I mean, we are using Zapier workflows like things which were already existing for us, right? We just try to reuse it as much as possible. And plus, the code that you really see there, right? It's not a big pain the moment you have this JSON with you, right? It's just fetching the data from there and writing a simple JavaScript and CSS code in there to render it. So that's how we are doing.
Yeah. And I think that perfectly summarizes the product philosophy of edge delivery services, right? Find the simplest solution that could work, make it a bit simpler, and get it done in 63 lines of code. And so yeah, and the other thing that I really like about this is that for any given problem space, right, there are always multiple ways of solving it, right? You can solve it the way Astha did or the way Meet did, obviously coming from different perspectives and different requirements, and this is also something that we embraced in the development process, right? Where we said whenever we are faced with a new requirement, we try to actually solve it in 5 different ways. And only after having it solved in 5 different ways, then we know which way is actually the best and what parts can be reproduced, what parts are really just one-offs. And that helps us to create a product that is on the one hand flexible, but on the other hand very simple, right? And it's I would like to add one additional point, which is that both of the solutions and Meet, you did share your GitHub links, right? So both of these solutions and are on GitHub, which means anyone who's interested in the nitty-gritty and the details and wants to take inspiration or take code can do that. And obviously the hope that I have with this is that this will also help our little AI assistants a bit, that we are all training them a little bit, and that they will get to the point where when you tell them, hey, please help me create an edge delivery component, that you don't have to do what Tom is doing, right, with extensive prompting and saying, don't do this, don't write React, and so on. That it's just picking up. You know what? I've seen 100, I've seen 200, I've seen 2,000 different edge delivery components or edge delivery blocks on GitHub. I know what I'm doing. You don't have to prompt me anymore. So, Astha, Meet, thank you very much for sharing this. Thanks for building this. And do we have questions from the audience while we are here?
Yeah,
I have one. Where I can find this feeds automation in GitHub?
Easiest is to follow the link to the blog post that Dominik shared in the chat, and then there's a link at the end of the blog post.
And it's okay to use this with the clients right now, yeah?
Meet, what's the license you have on your GitHub repo?
No, nothing as such. Like you are referring to my Git for the master calendar stuff, or the one with Astha?
I hope that would be yours, Meet, I think. I mean,
Yeah.
I'm not sure if.
Well, I thought more like to the automation with Zapier, but Yeah, why not? I can maybe play with this calendar as well.
Sure.
Yeah.
It should be in the blog.
So
In the blog
yeah.
party as well, it is there.
Thank
So I
you.
can just.
Yes.
Yeah, I will also share the
Yeah.
links in via YouTube and then via aem-live automatically.
Yeah. I checked the license. It's Apache Software License 2.0, which is what we use for everything. So it's yes. Yeah.
Okay.
And my general guidance is, if you find a Git repo, read the license. Don't just take anybody's word for it.
Thanks.
Do we have any other questions? We have 3 minutes left.
Yeah, I have a quick question. Going back to Meet's demo. Actually, this might be a question for Lars. Regarding the fragment versus iframe approach.
Yeah.
Lars, you were suggesting the fragments might be faster. I assume that I thought that fragments were more appropriate for just chunks of content, similar to experience fragments in traditional AEM. Maybe not so for full pages, which is maybe why it was decided to use iframes for that approach. But maybe I had that misunderstanding. I couldn't recall if you were loading a full page or not in that iframe.
Yeah, right. The thing is, technically, the way we deliver fragments are HTML pages, right? And the question is, do you want to fetch the JavaScript again, right? And do you want to go through this again, or don't you want this, right? And when it comes to content that you trust, right? So one additional advantage that iframes give you is if you're dealing with untrusted content, right? Let's say it's content that is coming from another domain, youtube.com, right? Where you don't know what Google might be doing in terms of the HTML they deliver. Then iframes provide an additional security layer, right? But if you know, well, the person on the other end of the HTTP request, that's me, and I trust myself not to deliver a malicious HTML. And obviously, you can trust yourself because it's all the HTML is generated by edge delivery services, and we are very particular about this. Then that's a good way of doing it, right? And another thing that is a bit harder to do with iframes is to deal with dynamically sized iframes, right? So in Meet's case, you wanted to have this little box with the ability to scroll, but sometimes you wanted, right? So let's say we're looking at a mobile layout, right? In a mobile layout, it might make sense to just inject it so that it's scrolling with the page, and you can do this with iframes, but it's a bit harder, right? Because you essentially need to probe the iframes content to say, hey, how long do you want to be, and then you put and then you stretch the iframe to match this, and this is why this is why I'm a fan of fragments. On top of that, if you're dealing with this case where you don't trust the content entirely, then using the fragment approach in combination with Shadow DOM could be also an option, right? Where you're essentially saying the stuff that I'm injecting and putting it into the Shadow DOM. This means your styles are not going to inherit, and whatever's happening in the Shadow DOM can't easily interact with what's outside of the Shadow DOM. So there's another option, but obviously iframes are the default and the most obvious choice. So
Interesting. Thank you. Makes sense.
Any other hot burning questions? No.
okay. Well, normally my question to Dominik would be, when are we going to talk next time? But now Dominik is going to say, Lars, just look at the damn calendar. I'm going to ask it anyway.
Yeah, it's in a month, and I think you have to say what kind of battle you want to do, because there is about battle of the templates. So
Yes.
who do you need for battles, and
Yes.
how does it work?
And I'm going to repeat my my call for contestants. So we are going to do something on that's March 12th.
March 13th.
Yeah, March. Oh, it's perfect. This is great, right? We have 1 month that is exactly 4 weeks long.
Yeah.
Why can't all months be that long? So and another calendar fun fact, in the traditional Ethiopian calendar, that's actually the case. So they have months that are 28 days long. So let's go back to March 13th when we are going to see each other next time. And what we want to do is we want to do a competitive edge delivery services coding session. I'm going to come up with a spec for a visual spec for a blog. And we are going to have different teams. We're going to use different technologies to implement this, right? Some are going to use homegrown templating languages. Some are going to use things that are, I can't believe it's not HTML. Some are going to use JSX. Some are going to say, hey, I've trained an AI that is capable of doing this. And I know that at least one person here on the call has uttered potential interest. So if there are other people who say, "Hey, I have an interesting way of building edge delivery components. I want to demo this, and I want to measure myself, and I want to measure my technology against other teams. Please ping me. Please reach out to you. Reach out to me. I'm just going to encourage you to sign up and to participate. I hope this is going to be a lot of fun, and I hope to see a lot of you, and many as contestants, and even more as spectators.
Super. Thanks, Lars. And I will
I have a
try to
question.
push it forward. Yeah, you have a question?
Well, what kind of technology you have in mind? Like saying,
So we have at the moment we have different templating languages. We have one team that is essentially trained an AI importer to do this based on visual spec. But I'm very open. I think we are also going to have one team that is going to do vanilla JS. So if you have something that is interesting, that you think is cool, that you want to try anyway, I'm excited to see it. So no limitations on technology, as long as what the result is going to be an edge delivery services block.
cool, thanks.
Okay. Great. Okay. Well, then it was great to see all of you. Can't wait for March to see you again. And once again, thank you to Meet and Astha for your time today.
Thank you.
And for helping us put the time on our customer websites. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Enjoy the evening. Bye.
Thank you.
Edge delivery services.